Quote.com/commercial. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
At Metro State University, students learn from expert instructors in high-demand degree programs such as healthcare, technology, cybersecurity, teaching, and business. As one of the most diverse universities in Minnesota, Metro State University is a flexible learning environment dedicated to equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. Explore more than 60 high-quality undergraduate programs at Metro State University's open house, online October 11th through 13th, and in person October 19th and 20th. Visit metrostate.edu for details. As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People aged 12 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 59, Tuesday partly sunny with a high near 75, and Wednesday partly cloudy with a high near 70. Tap, taste, and treasure at Vinaigrette. They offer the finest in extra virgin olive oils, white balsamic vinegars, lime vinegars, and more. Reintroduce yourself to all of the many flavors by tasting before you buy. Vinaigrette is located off 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis or at vinaigrettemn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive. Because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power. We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
Hey, I want to welcome everybody to, hold on a second, I got a little echo.
Oh, Robert, we lost you. I don't hear you at all. Hello, anybody? I don't know if you can hear us right now. We lost Robert.
Beaulieu, can you hear me?
Beaulieu, Nancy, can you hear me?
I sure can. It's
Hi, Nancy. Welcome.
Yes.
Looks like we lost Robert for the time being, so we're just going to roll with it. This is Ogamaganua and you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style, and we have our awesome Agitchadakwe Nancy Beaulieu here with us. Nancy is a treaty activist and a voting rights activist. Nancy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, Beaulieu, again, it's always a pleasure to be on the show. I'm Nancy Beaulieu, and I'm the Northern Organizer for Minnesota 350. I'm in Rolled Leech Lake, that's in northern Minnesota, and I work to defend the treaties, protecting the water, kind of a land defender, a little of everything. And I'm honored to be in the space tonight because I want to talk to why voting matters, why local elections are important, and our work at Minnesota 350 Action, which is our political leg. We have our C3 work and we have our C4, and MN350 is where we do a lot of our political work. And I want to start off with that today. So I want to share what 350, the action part, is all about. And so a lot of people don't understand that, you know, we need to engage in politics, because that's where a lot of the policies and legislation is created through our candidates, our actually our politicians, and people like our city council, our state reps, and our federal employees as well. And when we think about senators, and all these people have different roles in this process, but quite honestly, it's us voting them in. So it's what our values are as constituents. So at 350, we taken it a step further and kind of worked with candidates that align with the work that we do. So we envision a world free of devastating effects of fossil fuel consumption, a world where energy is renewable, sustainable, and locally produced and abundantly available to all. We imagine that our children and our grandchildren will inherit a future with clean water, with clean air, and a stable and healthy climate. So to do this, we must acknowledge and kind of force out the many faces of oppression underlying our society, and grow our respect for the natural world. Again, we're not above nature, we are nature. So it's important that we take a part or participate in this process of voting for candidates at local, state, and federal levels, because if we're not participating in the political world, we're actually being controlled and dominated by people that don't align with our values. And we've seen a lot of division lately, and a lot of proposals with resolutions that don't align with our work or hold back the good work of people on the front lines. When you get those anti-protest laws, these are politicians that are pushing this stuff forward. So if we're not out there supporting candidates that align with our values, they're not going to win their races. We're not going to have the majority vote, and we're not going to see change. So at Minnesota 350, MN 350's Action is a sister organization, and it's organized to promote climate justice. And we're also, working with other groups throughout the state of Minnesota, making sure that we're endorsing candidates that align with our values. So it allows us for more direct political action through the endorsements of those candidates who understand the urgent need for climate action, the promotion of policies weaning us off those dirty fuels, and by direct lobbying for the rapid transition to renewable energy and throughout the state. So at MN 350, they are concerned with healing, and making sure that our climate is in a better way, and that's not constantly under attack by big oil. So through, a strong transition to renewable energies is where we need to be. So I encourage people to take a look at our endorsement through our MN 350 Action, and you can find us on Facebook, and there's a lot of great candidates there.
Oh, still don't hear you, Robert. Yeah, MN350 Action. Is it mn350.org, Nancy, or mn350.com?
You could just find us on Facebook by just entering MN350 Action, and then it will be .org if you're going to search us.
Oh yeah, it is. It's mn350 350.org is the website, and there's really a lot of great resources on what MN350 is working on, and voting rights is just one part of climate justice, right, Nancy?
Right. And it's, it always includes that racial piece too, because, a lot of these critical infrastructures bring their business in our neck of the woods. And then we're the ones that have the health related problems, and we're the ones being left in disparities because of what this climate brings to us. And obviously we've seen what's happened in Florida, North Carolina, and, it's getting scary right now. So that's why I encourage people, to participate in our work that we do at 350 on the C3 side and the C4. Again, we're headed into the midterm elections November 8th, and I encourage people, if they don't know who the candidates are, go to the Secretary of State for their state and request a sample ballot, and you'll get a list of all the candidates running for the local, the county, the city offices, and you'll get the state, and you'll get the federal candidates. And it's a good way to find out who they are. But between now and November 8th, you have plenty of time to research those. And if you don't have a whole lot of time, I suggest you continue to listen to this show or follow us at MN350 Action to find out who some of those candidates are. Because again, climate is under attack, and so is our well-being and the seventh generations. And so this is why I do the work I do, and this is why I feel voting is really important.
Absolutely. So for our listeners who are in Minnesota, you want to go to the Secretary of State website. That's going to be mnvotes.sos.state.mn.us. And you can find your voter status, who's on your ballot, all of those things there. If you're coming to us and you're listening in on the Civic Media Network in Wisconsin, your website is elections.wi for Wisconsin.gov, and that'll take you to Wisconsin Elections Commission webpage so that you can do those same things you can do here. You can take a look at who's on your ballot, make sure you're registered to vote, that you're all set up. There's even resources for how to become a poll worker and details on election security and integrity, because we all know that the other side of this election has been a lot of people, trying to falsely accuse people working within the election system of creating election fraud, which has been an ongoing issue for, I think, probably the last 2 election cycles. Right, Nancy?
Right. And, I want to say, just like you're stressing to our Wisconsin relatives, that, our climate is under attack across Turtle Island, the whole globe. And I think it's really important, not just for us here in our area to do our work and take lead on it. I would hope that other areas throughout Turtle Island would say, hey, you know what? Our climate matters here too. And how do we show up? And how do we be a voice? Because what we think most of the time is that we can register ourselves to vote. We're going to show up and vote, and our work is done. But quite honestly, the power is within the people. It's the democracy that, we try to protect right now because of the things that you just mentioned. There's ugly politicians out there trying to undermine democracy, and we can't let them have it, because if they do, we're going to see a lot of these politicians who are going to be romanced by big corporations, backdoor deals. And this is how, our politicians are being bought out, because we as people are not engaging in civic engagement. That means we need to show up, and we need to be a part of the conversations at the city council level, at the Beltrami County level. Again, these are our backyards. And if we're not in those conversations, they're going to continue to make decisions and policy that undermine our values, especially as Native people, because again, treaties do matter, and they protect all of us. And again, treaties are nonpartisan, meaning that they lack an affiliation with any political parties. So when people are running for city council or county commissioners, they don't identify as Democrats or Republicans or independent party. These are nonpartisan seats, and this is, up to us.
Yep. Hey, Nancy, we got to jump over to a break now, but I'd really like to touch base on this some more when we get back. As Robert Pilot says on Native Roots Radio all the time, we need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. And here on Rock the Vote Native Style, we got to vote. We're going to have Mark Morrissey, who's a candidate for Beltrami County Commissioner for District 2, on a little later in the show. Nancy and I will be touching base with him on what his position is, and what it does, what a county commissioner does, and what they do, why it's important that you vote for somebody in your county commission level. So if we could run for commercial, we will be right back on Native Roots Radio presents Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style.
When we heal from our traumas, When we face our fears.
Let go of our addictions.
When we relearn our values.
When we live our teachings.
Respecting our elders.
Cherishing and honoring our children.
When we honor and take care of our spirit.
There will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
COVID levels may be falling, but the virus is still around. Stay healthy and up to date on your COVID vaccinations and boosters. Right now, everyone 6 months and older is eligible to get a vaccination, while everyone 5 and up is eligible for their booster shot. Plus, you're eligible for a second booster if you're over 50 or received an initial booster dose at least 4 months ago. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic. At Metro State University, students learn from expert instructors in high-demand degree programs such as healthcare, technology, cybersecurity, teaching, and business. As one of the most diverse universities in Minnesota, Metro State University is a flexible learning environment dedicated to equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. Explore more than 60 high-quality undergraduate programs at Metro State University's open house, online October 11th through 13th, and in person October 19th and 20th. Visit metrostate.edu for details.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Then we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, bonjour, everybody. Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style. Unfortunately, we're having a little bit of a glitch today, and we lost Robert Pilot for audio for joining us on the show today, and we're really disappointed about that. But the show must go on, as they say. So we're here today with Nancy Beaulieu of MN350 and Bemidji 350, and she's been talking to us quite a bit today about why we need to get out and vote and why it's important to vote. Nancy, I think we left off talking a little bit about it's not just important here in Minnesota, but it's also important for our relatives and our neighbors over in Wisconsin. And, you know, what's happening over in Wisconsin is Line 5. And Line 5 is a continuation of the Line 3 that happened here in Minnesota. And drone footage from just over a year after the completion of Line 3's new route through Minnesota shows a huge amount of unreported construction damage. And then Line 5 in northern Wisconsin going into the northern tip of Michigan into the northern part of the Great Lakes, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron there in the space between those two lakes. Enbridge's Line 5 has had a lot of spills. They've had 29 spills in the last 50 years there, and they've released about 1.1 million gallons of oil into the environment. And this is the same company that did Line 3 here in Minnesota. So if you're listening to us over in Wisconsin, you've got some environmental things that your representatives are going to be making decisions about.
Right. You know, and I want to stress the importance of our relatives in Wisconsin. And I know they're already doing it, but making a treaty stand when they're out there, you know, defending their natural resources from these invaders. So, you know, treaties are supreme law of the land. And just June of 2021, 3 of us Anishinaabe protectors here in northern Minnesota won our treaty case on Line 3. And what we proved to the state of Minnesota is that they lack subject matter jurisdiction over the Anishinaabe protecting their natural resources on or.
Oh, are you still with us, Nancy? I think I lost your audio here. It looks like, though, we might be ready for Mark. I don't know if Mark's quite ready. We've got Mark Morrissey, who's a candidate for Beltrami County Commissioner, joining us a little bit later today. Nancy, are you with me at all? All right. Looks like this is Ogama talking to you about the importance of voting here as a Native person and as a citizen of your state and of your country. We have general elections coming up here in November. Hello, Mark Morrissey. Welcome.
Hi, how are you tonight? I'm over
You
at
know,
the.
I'm okay. We're having some technical trouble, but
looks
things
like
are otherwise good.
looks like you're improvising and keeping it going. Good for you. I'm
Exactly,
impressed. I'm
exactly.
very impressed, actually.
Oh, well, thank you. So this is Mark Morrissey. He's a candidate for Beltrami County Commissioner for District 2 up in northern Minnesota. Beltrami County is Bemidji area, for those of you who aren't super familiar with the Minnesota counties. You might know Bemidji. It's pretty famous up there. Mark, why don't you go ahead and give us some information on what a county commissioner does and why it's important that we know who we vote for in those roles.
Yeah, I mean, it took a little bit of looking into it myself to figure out all the roles because it's a wide variety of roles that the commissioner engages in. But if you think of it, it's like the county is the administrative part of the state, and so we have revenue that's local. We also have revenue from the state. We also might have other revenue streams from like federal grants or that type of thing. So our job is to we're not a lawmaking body or a judicial body. It's more like we supervise those funding priorities, make sure that objectives are being met, that local money is being spent properly, and we make some funding, priorities and decisions and things like that. And
okay.
Yeah, so three large areas are, so we get, like I said, money from the state of Minnesota, and then the local levies, of course, like our property taxes. Now, our county is not a wealthy county. 70% of the land is untaxed, right? It's all tax forfeit land or public land. And so we don't have a whole lot of taxpayers, and we've got a lot of roads that we plow and a lot of ditches that we mow and, bridges to repair and things like that. So a big part of it's just infrastructure, our roads and bridges, boat landings and parks and things like that. Another big part of it is this administrative role, like, the license center, and the counties run elections. And I think that's really important. Like when we look at these election stories that have happened in the past, a couple of years ago where there was disputes about the elections, those got handled at the county level where the county, the county clerk said all our results are in. And then in some cases, those county board members were like, well, we want to see, we're not so confident in the results, and that all takes place at the county level because that's who administers our elections. It's not like a big national. It's actually like every county has to supervise their elections.
Wow.
And do them a little. Yeah. So there's a lot going on at that level. There's a lot of authority residing there, and so they're really big. They're really big budgets and they're really big decisions. And again, like it's not a wealthy county, and so my opinion is that we really need to be effective partners with the state of Minnesota and have good communication channel with all of our constituents and with the state.
Yeah, so county commissioner, it sounds like really is going to have a major impact on how people's everyday lives are run. It's going to have a direct say in how their local taxes are spent. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, that's exactly right. It's like that's kind of where the rubber meets the road on decisions and where seeing that the money gets put into programs that we need and are valued in our community. So that's kind of honestly what I like about it. It seems to be the sweet spot that it's local enough, but that there's enough going on. And I got involved because I essentially disagreed with the way that some votes were handled and the votes that were taken by my opponents, some others. So I felt like, okay, I'm just a sensible middle of the road person. I want to get involved, and got on the ballot. So it's been going really well. But the district ranges all the way from Cass Lake, Pennington up to Black Duck. So it's like everybody, from Leech Lakers to resorters to people with little farms up by Black Duck. So it's like, it's been beautiful to get to know the district better, just to kind of drive around and get to meet a lot of people in the district. It's been great.
Yeah, so you've been doing a lot of door knocking, a lot of talking with your constituents, which is great because in my local area, I don't think I've had a single door knock. I did have one person who's running for school district, school board here in my district in central Minnesota come knock on my door. But that's it. And I would love to see more people like yourself, Mark, more allied people or more people in general even willing to come meet me face to face and hear what I have to say as a constituent. So like kudos to you for getting out there and doing that work.
I think the most important thing is that responsiveness and the respect, to have an open channel. If the views are, if they seem out of left field to you or something, it's still like just show people a ton of respect and get to hear what they care about, because that's our job, is to be responsive in there and to not just kind of pick and choose or be dismissive or pick favorites, but to really hear everybody out and their concerns in the district.
Absolutely. And, when you're talking about, what a county commissioner does and how important this role is, something comes to my mind. And I think I've probably said it before on the show, but maybe it's worth mentioning again, that, and I should know the person who said this, but there's somebody who said that they're not afraid of organizations like, the Ku Klux Klan or something like that. When they come into town waving pitchforks, they're afraid of the people that are members of those organizations that work in their local hospital, that work in local government, and that make decisions based on those values for everybody in their communities. And it's really important to know who your representatives are at your local level, at your state level, at the national level, but especially in places like this where it's county commission. It's, deciding what's going to happen with your local roads, what's going to happen with your tax dollars, what you want to see happen with your local public library, airport, your corrections, public health boards. All of those are covered under county commission.
Yes, public health and law enforcement and the local justice system, like being engaged with those issues, is going to be really important. It's been a great education for me to learn from. I've tried to view it as just taking on almost like I'm trying to read a newspaper article or a book or something, and just learning about people's jobs and the roles that they play in the county. And it's becoming more and more important to me.
Absolutely. So you got on the docket this year to run for District 2 in Beltrami County for County Commissioner.
District 1. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. District 1. I'm sorry. I'll put that up correctly. My bad that we have District 2 listed. District 1. How many districts are there in Beltrami County?
There's 5 districts. There's just under 10,000 people per district. So like I said, it feels a bit neighborly, like you can actually get to meet people, and it doesn't seem so large or so expansive that you'll just never get to know all these people. And I won't meet everybody, but it starts to feel more like it's a manageable size of people to kind of get to communicate with.
Hey, Mark, we got to run to break here, but thanks so much for being here with us on Native Roots Radio Presents Rock the Vote Native Style. We'll be right back in just a minute. As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People aged 12 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality, and for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schroman Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hello, Minneapolis. Make sense, make progress, make a date, make an appointment with me. Weeknights from 10 to midnight here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Patrick. Football season is building up, and so is the nastiness in your carpets and air ducts. It's time to call Zero Res and beat the holiday rush. Every surface Zero Res does is specifically designed to preserve and maximize the life of your investments in your home. But also ask yourself before you turn on your furnace, do you know how much built-up dirt, dander, and other allergens are hiding in your air duct system? With Zero Res this month, the more you buy, the more you save. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $139 or 5 rooms starting at $199. That's a 43% savings. Book now to get the best carpet cleaning deal of the season. And don't forget about your air ducts. Help your furnace perform its best this winter by removing all the nasty dirt, dander, and harmful debris from your HVAC system. Plus, Zero Res will give you $75 off any air duct cleaning package. Call 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com to schedule your appointment today.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 59, Tuesday partly sunny with a high near 75, and Wednesday partly cloudy with a high near 70.
I'm Angela Warner, and my grandpa Jim Warner taught us to treat customers like family. And to thank you for 68 years, Warner Stellian is offering unbeatable appliance savings. Go to warnerstellian.com for a $50 exclusive coupon.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, bonjour, everybody. This is Ogamaganua stepping in for Robert Pilot. We're having just a little bit of technical issues today, so we're really hoping to get Robert Pilot back on later this evening. But for now, you're listening to Rock the Vote Native Style on Native Roots Radio, and with me today, I have Nancy Beaulieu with MN350, Bemidji 350, and Mark Morrissey, who is a candidate for District 1 in Beltrami County, Minnesota, for County Commissioner. Welcome back, Nancy. I'm gonna give it to you. You have got some questions for Mark tonight.
Right. You know, and I apologize. I was so busy talking, and then I realized I dropped, and I don't even know where I left off last time. But
Oh, that's the worst.
yes, I was like, oh my God, Ogama, where are you? So I was talking to the importance of why local elections are important, and I don't know where it left off, but what I want to say, it does matter, and it's part of our civic duty to vote because it helps to elevate candidates like Mark Morrissey. It actually helps produce change, and it's a collective statement, you know, in support of democracy. So again, you know, if we're not voting candidates that align with our values and the work that we do, they don't get elected. So it's really up to the people, you know, to show up and vote for candidates that align with our values, and, you know, the candidates that honor treaties. And Mark, he's a fine example of what a candidate should bring to the table. And I want to stress the importance again. It's up to us to build that power. We can, you know, register to vote. We can show up on November 8th and make the vote. But we also have to be engaged with our city councils, with our board of commissioners at the county level, because, you know, if we're not a part of the dialogue in some of these important decisions, you know, they're going to make decisions that favor probably big corporations, because, you know, they actually influence many of these candidates running for state and county offices. And we probably don't want to believe that happens, but we know that happens, especially here in Beltrami County, when we think about Line 3 and how the Beltrami County Sheriff's Department took part in the Northern Lights Task Force. And again, you know, with our current treaty win, you know, reiterating to the state of Minnesota that they lack subject matter jurisdiction over the Anishinaabe, protecting natural resources on or off their reservation. I think that's a segue to really building further treaty relationships and building that awareness. And a big part of seeing those good things happen is supporting candidates like Mark Morrissey, who is running for Beltrami County Commissioner District 1. That's my district, so I'm really going to show up and vote. But I want to welcome in Mark Morrissey. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you. We were just talking about what the county commissioner does, and I thought we'd talk some more about elections and how you can participate. And I also wanted to say how much I appreciate. I've learned so much from watching Nancy in action, and she's just got so much energy and the ability to teach people. I think it was important. And one of the biggest things I found is like people, they don't appraise situations properly if they don't have proper context and information. So like this news program, like this kind of this alternative news sources are really good for people, and I think it's good for people to kind of like, you know, read across kind of political boundaries sometimes, or just kind of explore you know, news sources that they weren't aware of. I mean, there might be some people, you know, that may not have seen your show before, and when I found this show, I was like, it's such a high quality program because you realize, oh, there's some perspective here that is just deeper and richer than I understood at first glance. And for a lot of people, I think regarding like the pipeline protests were just poorly understood. I mean, people made a snap judgment about what that meant or why people were protesting, and they simply had an impression of like, well, these are out of town troublemakers or that type of thing. Like, okay, that's the way you understand this. Like, there might be quite a bit more going on here about like, you know, like Winona LaDuke making the assessment of like how much of a future does this industry have? I mean, this Harvard trained economist looking at it, or Nancy's perspective of coming at it from this sovereignty argument of like, we have to look at these government to government treaties and understand these, and not just sort of dismiss them because it's not something they're used to thinking about.
Right. And, you know, I want to say too, you know, a part of the local work that we do here, you know, is to support candidates like yourself, because, you know, this is like a breath of fresh air when people like yourself win. And if we're not doing our part to help support candidates like yourself, we're kind of leaving ourselves in the dark. And this is why we do this work, because I think it's important that people understand that when we do show up, you know, that we're not protesting, we're actually asserting our treaty rights, and we're doing it in the most best way we know how, and that's done in peace, and it's done, you know, in a good way. You know, that's how us natives say it. We do it in a good way. So when we took that line 3 occupation, it was, you know, based on that 1855 treaty and the obligations that the state of Minnesota have to, you know, the tribal nations. And we have to look at that shared history. And again, you know, my ancestors signed those, what your ancestors, Mark, and you're a fine example of a good treaty person and what it takes to show up. You know, sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone, and that's what I appreciate about candidates like yourself, that you're willing to learn and engage yourself. And honestly, you know, a lot of our native people don't know that there's non-native allies out there like yourself. Most of the time when we see, you know, non-natives running for office, they're just a career politician in a suit, face, or no face, and just a name on the ballot, and then we don't know who to vote for. So this is one reason why we're honored to have our allies into this space. So our relatives, when they're going up to vote, oh, Mark Morrissey, we know who he is, and he's on our side, you know. And again, treaties are nonpartisan. So just like the city and the county boards, they're nonpartisan, and treaties nonpartisan. So it doesn't matter what political party you belong to, what church you go to, how you self-identify. We're all treaty people. And I think the work that we do here in Beltrami County is going to show the whole world, you know, what it looks like to stand in solidarity, to coexist as treaty people, as the treaties intended. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of good work to do moving forward.
Yeah, and the effort, you know, the effort that you made in particular, I think, is on behalf of so many more people who don't necessarily recognize, like protecting this kind of clean water economy, this tourism economy, all these people who come up here. I mean, what do we have if we're not passing down this clean water ecosystem and economy to the next generation of kids and families. And this is what we owe the generations coming after us.
Right. And I think, candidates like yourself, the elected officials, our governor should always put Minnesotans first, especially when Minnesota has an $18 billion dependency, on that tourism. That's a whole lot of money we lose, so we do care about our neighbors and our business people. And we do so. And we're even going to have a block party. See the little flyer here, you guys? These are hot to press.
It's going to be a good event.
Yeah.
Those look gorgeous.
Yeah, we're excited to do this event, and it's get out the vote in little tiny words here. It says we are all treaty people. So when we show up at this block party, we're going to lay the foundation again that we're all treaty people, and our intent is to create a future that we can all thrive in. But we can't do that unless we have elected officials that understand this work, that understand their obligation to the treaty, that say, hey, I want to move this work forward because, us natives, if we show up and do it, one, we get cuffed and stuffed, and that's no fun. And secondly, actually, more often than not, our words continue to fall on deaf ears. So this is why we depend on our allies to come hold space with us. We hope they run for office and amplify our struggles and address those issues that direct us or that affect us directly here, and so I couldn't be more pleased to have a candidate like Mark. I'd actually like to clone him, but I don't think his wife would like that. But he might get confused.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's more than the pipeline too, because it's also about cooperative strategies on forest management and these long-term strategies. Just understanding that there might be other really effective methods than some of our county employees might find there's quite a bit to learn, and also just the respect of saying this is what we're planning for a management plan. Before just announcing it, just kind of open up those discussions. What do you think is the best, what's the best approach going forward for resource management, fisheries, forests, with tribal employees too.
Right. And, I have a quick question for you because, when I heard you were running I was ecstatic. What inspired you to step it up? I mean, I want you to share that with our readers because, you know what, again, you're not just a career politician in a suit, with no face and just a name on a ballot. You're my neighbor. You're my friend. And you're so into community. And it's people like you that inspire myself to continue to do this work because I was ready to say, hey, you know what? I'm really frustrated now and there's not a whole lot of things happening here. But I think we're learning how to play this game. And I think we're going to play it better because of people like yourself. So I want to know what inspired you.
Give each other some energy. I mean, the last few years have been so disruptive and divisive. And then we're seeing these national issues kind of spill into county boardrooms and school boards, where it seems like the rhetoric has really heated up. And then in particular, I was not in favor of some of the votes that my opponent had made, and both the way that these were voted on and that they were handled. Particularly, there's the refugee vote. Minnesota has this long tradition of supporting refugees coming to the state of Minnesota. I thought it was just wildly out of step with what message we want to send in our area. It kind of sent out this xenophobic message of we don't want people coming to our community who don't look like us or whatever, and found that dreadful. And also the way it was handled there was a lot of disinformation that was around it. Bothered me a lot.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, we got to run to break here, and then we've got one more segment after this where we can keep talking about this.
I'll stand by.
Get ready to howl with us on the next segment. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style. We'll be right back.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac.
the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me one. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, ripping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style. This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. We got
Mark
Robert
with the
Pilot
howl.
back on for the howl.
There's Mark.
There's Mark. No howl from Nancy tonight. Looks like she was hiding for the howl.
I think she's smoking. I think she's smoking back there.
Take a smoke break. You're probably parked right next to me. I'm in the high school parking lot. Where are you, Nancy?
I'm actually at Cass Lake, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
For those
my
of you
remote office.
For those of you listening on air, both Nancy and Mark are running tight schedules, so they're joining us from their vehicles. And it looks actually kind of funny. It looks like they might actually be in the same car in the same place, the way it looks on the video. So.
Yeah, I have his big campaign sign in the back here that's going to go up tomorrow. So I was fortunate enough actually to hang out with Mark at the Chili Feed fundraiser in Beltrami County, supporting some more wonderful candidates. And that this is why I do this work, because again, these are our neighbors, our friends, and
great candidates.
Yeah, they really do care. And I can't stress the importance enough why voting matters, why civic engagement is important. And that's, again, the big reason why we'll be hosting this block party, because our work isn't done on November 8th. It's just beginning. And it's like, if we want to move that work forward after November 8th, I think it's really important that we reach out to all of our neighbors and friends and stress why voting is important across Turtle Island. All these elections matter.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy, can you drop the details for this block party that you've been talking about? I don't know if we got the details in this segment yet.
All right. I'll try to copy the link. And if I lose you guys, please forgive me.
Well, just tell us over the air, too, so that those listening on the show can hear it.
It
Read
is
your card.
Saturday, October 22nd from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Bemidji Lakefront. We're going to have a big party tent, party lights. We're going to have food, door prizes. We're going to actually have a cornhole tournament, and those proceeds will go to 218 MMIW to help support the work they need to do. We're going to have voter registration. We're going to have Treaty 101, why voting matters. And then candidates are going to also be there to table their campaigns. So when people are not, when they're registering to vote, they're also going to learn how to make an informed voting decision so they can vote for the candidates that we really need to get into office. So there's a lot of goodness down there, and a lot of good energy. I could feel it already. We've had fun planning this, and I want to thank MN350 Action, Indian Collective, Indigenous Environmental Network, Red Lake, White Earth, and Leech Lake for hosting this wonderful event. And then we know people like Mark are going to be there, so we can show him off and tell everybody why we need to vote Mark. So
absolutely.
those
Hey, Mark, I don't think we've gotten a chance to plug your campaign website yet. So I want to just take a moment and let our listeners know if you're interested in finding out more information about Mr. Mark Morrissey and his candidacy for Beltrami County Commissioner, you can go to markmorrisseyforcommissioner.com. That's Mark Morrissey with 2 R's and 2 S's and an EY at the end. So markmorrisseyforcommissioner.com. You can find out more about his campaign, what is important to him, and also sign up to volunteer. All of those things are really great things that you can do. Mark, is there another way where people could get in touch with you?
That website's good, and that also links to, like, I've got a Facebook page that's probably a little bit more active. And right now we're just in the, going to forums, getting on radio. I'm doing a chat about this week. I did another radio interview today. There's a Farm Bureau forum next week. Trying to get seen in Black Duck, trying to get seen in Cass Lake. And we were just talking about talking about reasons to run. And I just wanted to back up just a tiny bit. There was the other big one was the COVID concerns. And I thought a lot about how, Leech Lake provided such leadership in this to kind of take things so seriously so early. And then I remember when they extended, vaccination to non-members who could come, and I just thought, now that's an amazing piece of leadership. And I felt like talking to some of the health officials about how COVID was handled. I just feel like it's so important that at the county board level that those employees know that we've got their back, like we've really got that we're supporting the work they're doing. Like they work so hard, and not to undermine them with these strange doubts about whether masks are effective or things like that. Let them make those decisions. They're the experts, and then everybody pulled together on the behalf of public health.
Right. So, I have, we're running out of time here, but I have one more question for you, Mark, and I know you're going to have a great answer for it. So, how will you work to get the Native people more involved in their neighborhood organizations, their community, and the political process?
Well, I know it's important, and you've talked a little about kind of working with elected officials, but also with just kind of people connected to people. It's important to go before like tribal council, meet with them, hear what are the big issues. Like I know like Cass Lake's working on improving the school, trying to get referendum passed, things like that. Just it's a lot of it is just like information exchange and being aware. Beginning with that, and then also just kind of finding out, people, they're kind of their everyday lives, and just getting to know, just kind of taking a sample that's just broader than just like my little neighborhood and the people that I visit with and the people that I work with. Need to get, more connected to some more diverse views about what are issues that impact, people in the community.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up the youth because, we do this for them. We do this
Right.
for the born yet. And, a big part of the block party is to engage our youth. So we're going to have a lot of fun down there. And we actually have Eugene Summers from the White Earth Tribal Nation, who's going to be a guest speaker and speak to the youth why it's important to vote, to be engaged, and to run for office. So again, if we keep doing this good work that, not just in 2022, but in 2024, I think we're going to see more candidates run. I think we're going to continue to get a majority vote if we keep showing up and really put a whole lot of love into the work that we do, because again, we're community and we're the voice and we are the power. And that's why I'm excited to work with people like yourself if elected. And even if you're not elected, you're still going to be there. I know it. That's the best part I like about you.
Yeah. these cross-cultural efforts are just so important, and I think just building one friendship at a time. Like I've my life's been enriched getting to know the work that you're doing, and I've just learned so much. So I think when people take that on as like, hey, just check this out, come to this event, see what you think. It might not look like your thing, and then you realize, wow, this is really fantastic effort going on here. That's kind of the way I've approached. That's the way I've approached a lot of this, and it's been great for me. So I appreciate it. I really the focus and the effort to get the election participation is just amazing to me.
Right. And I think this block party is going to do nothing but inspire and empower and build those relationships and forward into a future that we can all thrive in. So again, I want to thank you for your time tonight, Mark. And it means a lot, to me personally, that you run for office. And it's awesome to have a good neighbor like yourself. And, you're there, like I said, in many different ways, and couldn't ask for a better candidate.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much.
Miigwech to you both for joining us here on Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style. You have been listening to us here on the Civic Media Network, and I want to just give a shout out to MN350, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and all of our other wonderful sponsors who take the time to sponsor us here on Native Roots Radio. Miigwech to you, Nancy and Mark, and best of luck in your candidacy, Mark, and best to you, Nancy, always in the work that you do. You do so much for us and for our people here. If you are listening to us on the Civic Media Network, remember to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, and vote. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Would you let animals